All right, so today we're setting sail for a world of pirates and, well, magical fruit. We're diving deep into BLOX fruits. And we've got this article from Game Rant that's making some pretty bold claims, calling it out as a major example of pay to win.
Oh, yeah. It's
Well,
off topic for sure.
yeah, I mean, I think most of our listeners are probably familiar with BLOX fruits already, but
Yeah.
just to set the scene, we're talking about, a Roblox game that's got this.
One Piece vibe.
Yeah, exactly. One Piece meets Roblox. You're sailing around, leveling up your character, collecting these blocks fruits that give you crazy powers.
It's definitely got that, got to catch them all appeal.
Totally. But that's where this article throws a bit of a wrench in things. They're basically saying the game might be less about how good you are and more about how much you're willing to spend.
Right. The pay-to-win dilemma.
Exactly. So let's unpack this accusation.
Hmm.
What exactly makes blocks fruits so transactional?
Well, the core gameplay loop, it revolves around grinding, completing quests, defeating enemies, farming for resources.
Standard RPG stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. But the article's point is that the grind in blocks fruits, it can feel really excessive, repetitive, and just super time-consuming.
So not just like a little daily grind, we're talking like a second job in the blocks fruits universe.
That's the criticism, yeah. You want to make any noticeable progress without spending money. You're looking at hours of doing the same tasks over and over. Kill 10 crab monsters, collect 5 blue mushrooms, rinse and repeat.
Sounds pretty monotonous.
It can be.
And I bet this is where those Robux start looking tempting, right?
Exactly. And for anyone listening who might not be familiar with the world of Robux, that's the premium currency you buy with real money. And the Blocks Fruits gives you plenty of ways to spend them.
So it's like giving a line at the amusement park, but for leveling up your pirate.
Yeah, you could say that. You can buy in-game currency to get better gear right away, or even snag those Blocks Fruits without all the grinding. And then there are the 2x EXP boosters.
Ah, so you level up twice as fast.
Yeah.
So it's not just about getting cool stuff. It's about getting a head start on everyone else. And that's where that pay-to-win argument really heats up, right?
Exactly. If someone can just buy their way to a higher level and better gear it, creates a really uneven playing field. Anyone who doesn't spend money is at a disadvantage trying to catch up.
It's like bringing a bazooka to a sword fight. Not exactly a fair contest.
Yeah.
But wait, doesn't the game have those blocks fruits codes? Those give you some free stuff, don't they?
They do, yeah. They can help a bit with the grind, but the article argues that, even with the codes, the core issue remains. You still have to put in a ton of time if you don't want to spend money.
Okay, so even with a few freebies, it still seems like the game's pushing players to open their wallets. But it's not just direct Robux purchases, right? There's another layer to this Roblox Premium.
Right, Roblox Premium. It's a monthly subscription that gives you benefits across a bunch of different Roblox games. And in Blocks Fruits, those benefits translate to even more advantages.
So like a VIP pass for the whole Roblox universe.
Yeah.
But with some extra perks just for Blocks Fruits?
Exactly. You get even higher EXP and money multipliers and discounts on gacha, which are basically loot boxes.
Okay, so not only can you buy your way to the top, you can subscribe to a service that makes buying your way to the top even easier.
That's basically the argument, and this is where the article really goes hard saying that. Blocks Fruits with all its ways to spend money. It's like a prime example of everything wrong with pay to win, more so than a lot of other Roblox games.
So it's not just about having optional purchases. It's about creating a system that encourages spending at every turn. It's kind of like a slippery slope, right? You start with a few Robux here and there, and next thing you know, you're maxing out your credit card for virtual fruit.
Maybe a bit of an exaggeration, but the concern is valid. These systems are designed to be tempting, They play on that desire for instant gratification, and for a game that's so popular with kids, who might not have a great grasp on financial responsibility, yet it's why. It's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement and not realize how much you're actually spending. So before we go any further, let's break down how these microtransactions actually translate into in-game advantages. Let's go through some specific examples from the article so our listeners can understand what they're getting into if they decide to spend some Robux in Blocks Fruits.
Okay, so let's start with the Blocks Fruits themselves. They're a huge part of the game, right? You get these unique powers and abilities.
Yeah, they're kind of the whole point.
Right. But some of the rarest and most powerful fruits, you can only get them through this thing called the cousin.
The cousin?
Yeah.
Sounds harmless enough.
Oh, it's not what it sounds like. Basically, the cousin offers a random selection of fruits, and you have to pay Robux for a spin to see what you get.
Oh, so it's like a slot machine.
Pretty much. And the chances of getting the specific fruit you want, they're not great.
So you could spend a ton of Robux and still not get what you're looking for.
Exactly.
That sounds frustrating.
Yeah, especially for younger players who might not understand the odds. It's designed to make you keep spending even if you don't get what you want.
Okay, so the cousin is basically a gamble. What about other ways to spend Robux? The article mentioned game passes too.
Oh yeah, the game passes, they give you all sorts of perks. But the one that really stands out in terms of pay to win, it's the Fast Boats Game Pass.
Fast boats.
Yeah, you can travel around the map way faster than everyone else.
So you can complete quests and gather resources more quickly.
Exactly, it gives you a huge advantage.
It's like having a sports car while everyone else is on bicycles.
Yeah, pretty much. You get to zoom past all the slowpokes.
And that brings us back to the whole fairness issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it really fair that someone can just pay to get ahead, while other players have to grind for hours to achieve the same thing?
Yeah, that's the debate. It feels like playing a rigged game sometimes.
Totally. And even if we ignore the fairness aspect for a second, there's another interesting angle here, the value of time.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. The article touches on this, but it's worth digging into.
So we always say time is money, right? But in a game like BLOX Fruits, it becomes like a literal currency.
Right, because think about all those hours you spend grinding, battling the same enemies over and over, completing those repetitive quests. That's all time that you're investing in the game.
And the article argues that you need to invest a lot of time if you don't want to spend Robux.
Exactly. So even if you're not spending real money, you're still paying a price. You're paying with your time.
So it's like there are two ways to pay in BLOX Fruits.
Right.
With your wallet or with your time.
Right, and the question is that time investment worth it?
Especially if the game is designed to make you feel like you should just spend Robux instead.
Yeah, that's the criticism. Some people argue that the grind is intentionally tedious and time-consuming to push players towards spending money.
It's like the game is holding your progress hostage. You can have this if you pay up.
It can feel that way sometimes.
It's a bit manipulative, don't you think?
It's definitely a point of contention in the gaming community. Some people say it's fine as long as the game is free to play. Others see it as exploitative.
It's a tough issue. No easy answers. But I think it's important to talk about it, to make people aware of how these systems work.
Absolutely.
So for our listeners who are maybe grinding away in BLOX Fruits right now, what can they do to navigate this whole pay-to-win situation? Are there ways to enjoy the game without feeling like you're constantly hitting a paywall?
Well, I think the most important thing is to set realistic expectations. Recognize that progress takes time, and that's okay. Don't compare yourself to other players who might be spending money to get ahead.
Right, don't compare your journey to someone else's highlight reel.
Exactly. Focus on your own experience. Set your own goals and enjoy the game at your own pace.
That's great advice. Well, what about some more practical tips? Are there specific things players can do in the game to make the grind less painful?
Definitely one thing is to focus on completing quests efficiently. Plan your routes, prioritize the tasks that give you the best rewards, and make use of any free boosts or resources that are available.
Work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. There are also online guides and communities where you can find tips and tricks for optimizing your gameplay without spending Robux.
And don't forget about those BLOX Fruits codes.
Oh yeah, those can help too. They can give you free items or boosts or even a little bit of Robux.
Every little bit counts, right?
Exactly.
But let's zoom out a bit. This whole conversation about BLOX Fruits raises some bigger questions about pay-to-win games in general.
Yeah, it's a trend we're seeing across the industry.
Yeah.
Especially in free-to-play games.
And it raises some concerns about fairness and accessibility.
For sure.
Especially when you consider how many of these games are marketed towards kids.
It's definitely something we need to be talking about.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's talk about the bigger picture. What does this pay-to-win trend mean for the future of gaming?
Well, that's a question. Well, that's a tough one. It's not an easy question to answer. I mean, on the one hand, you've got this rise of free-to-play games, and they've definitely made gaming more accessible. You don't have to pay up front to play a lot of these games anymore. Anyone with an internet connection can jump in.
Yeah, that's true. It's like gaming has become more democratic in a way. But is there a trade-off? Is there a cost to that accessibility?
That's the debate, isn't it? Because even though the game might be free, there's often a lot of pressure to spend money once you're playing. And that creates this kind of tiered system, where the players who pay have a big advantage over those who don't.
Yeah, it's like the freemium model taken to the extreme. You get the basic experience for free. But if you want to really enjoy the game and be competitive, you have to keep spending.
Right, and that raises concerns about fairness and exploitation.
Especially when you think about how many of these games are aimed at kids, who might not fully grasp what it means to spend real money on virtual stuff.
It's a tricky situation, for sure.
And I think as gamers, we need to be more aware of this trend. We can't just accept pay to win as the norm.
I agree. We need to demand better from the games we play.
So what can our listeners do? How can they make a difference in this pay to win world?
Well, the first thing is to be informed. Read reviews, watch gameplay videos, talk to other players. Get a sense of how the game handles monetization before you invest any time or money.
Do your research before you jump in.
Exactly. And once you're playing the game, be mindful of your choices. Ask yourself, is this purchase really going to make the game more fun for me? Or am I just feeling pressure to spend?
It's about taking control, remembering that we have a choice in how we play.
And remember, you can always walk away. If a game feels too greedy or unfair, you don't have to play it. There are plenty of other games out there, games that value fun and fairness over profits.
That's a great point. We have the power to choose how we spend our time and money.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into BLOX Fruits, let's leave our listeners with a call to action. Be mindful gamers, be informed consumers, demand better from the games you play.
And most importantly, have fun.
Absolutely. Fun, fairness, a sense of accomplishment, those are the things that should matter most.
Well said.
So on that note, it's time to say goodbye to our listeners. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of BLOX Fruits.
We hope you enjoyed it.
And we'll see you next time for another deep dive